There are some people who are always going to be a bit negative, and it's going to be hard for them on the move. There's different personalities out there. So we're just going to kind of take like the negative personality first. Say your mom did not want to move to assisted living. She needed to move. You went together, you found a place. She still wasn't thrilled with it. She's moved in and she's been there, say, 2 weeks, and all she's doing is complaining. Well, in this case, we say give it at least 90 days. Welcome to Aging in Style, the podcast dedicated to celebrating aging and what it takes to do it well. I'm Lori Williams. I'm a certified senior advisor and senior housing expert. In each episode, you'll learn stories of older adults who are thriving in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and in some cases in their hundreds. Whether you're an older adult or the child of an older adult, this podcast is filled with insightful resources, organizations that are doing incredible work, and stories that will inspire you to volunteer, learn, and who knows, maybe even skydive in your golden years. Hi, welcome to Aging in Style, and today we're back for an episode of Ask Lori. I feel like I need music or something with that. Da, 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 da.
Like a special sound effect.
Yeah, let's work on that, Anna. Okay, I need a special sound effect just for that, just the Ask Lori sound effect. But Anna, my producer's here, and we have some questions that pop up. And, either they're sent in by listeners or just questions that I'm asked on a regular basis. So, Anna, what's the question?
All right. This is actually something that I also thought about, and that I was like, if I'm thinking about this, I'm sure you'll tell me that a few people have asked about as well. So when an adult child, or then even, an aging parent themselves, move into senior housing and they don't like it, it's not just an easy, it was probably a long process to get them in, or at least, it involved a lot of steps. And I'm guessing a lot of people are thinking, to move now. So let's talk through what are some options before we fully consider the last option, which is to fully move them, and all that comes in between, because there's just a lot to consider because people are different. So if they want to move, what is the first thing that we got to do if they express that thought?
That is a great question, and it does come up. First, I would say to keep this from happening, let's work with a professional. And we've talked about this before, working with a senior placement advisor, someone like the business I do. So we try to work with them, find their likes, really match them up to the right community to prevent this from happening. But, sometimes people, things happen. But here is my best advice on this. There are some people who are always going to be a bit negative, and it's going to be hard for them on the move. There's different personalities out there. So we're just going to kind of take like the negative personality first. Say your mom did not want to move to assisted living. She needed to move. You went together, you found a place. She still wasn't thrilled with it. She's moved in and she's been there, say, 2 weeks, and all she's doing is complaining. Well, in this case, we say give it at least 90 days. So I know you're probably feeling guilt because you've forced this, but let's go back to why mom was unsafe in her home and this had to happen. So she, of course, she's forced to do something she doesn't want to do. So she's going to let you know. My thought would be, if she's complaining a lot, and if there's, like, say she's complaining, these are the biggest complaints we hear. It's about the food, because it's not the way she made the food, even though she hasn't cooked in 10 years, but this is not how she made meatloaf. And you know what? The food is never going to be the way they made it. That's just part of it. So just know, if she's complaining about food, that's a pretty common one. But if there's a lot of complaints coming in, I would talk to the executive director of the community and say, here's what's happening. My mom's calling me 5 times a day. She's complaining. What can we do to just really make this transition a little easier for her? And so it may be as simple as talking to the staff in the dining room to remind her, maybe she forgot. She doesn't have to order whatever the special of the day is. She can order a salad. She could get a baked potato. There's always an alternate menu in all of these types of communities. So maybe that it's as simple as reminding her of that. That could change things. Maybe she's having a hard time making friends, which, if you've been living by yourself for 5 years and you're not really getting out and making friends with people, like, you've kind of lost a little bit of how to socialize. So that's where they may involve the activity director. and invite her down to say, she loves crafts. So, make sure that they're coming to her apartment, inviting her down. We're making, cards today. Come and do this with us, and just making her feel very welcome. And, again, like I said, there's different personality types. There may be someone who is very shy, and it's hard for her to walk up to a group of ladies, working on a craft. And so to have the activity director, or in a lot of communities, they have people who live there who are, I forget the word they use for them, but where they're ambassadors, and they match up with a person and help them get used to the community and kind of know what's going on. But before jumping the gun and being like, oh my gosh, mom's been here 3 weeks. She's so unhappy. We've got to move her. And I do get those calls, and I'm like, let's just settle down. let's
Right.
let's get everyone involved and see what we can do to make this transition easier. Some people, they can't be pleased because that's their personality, and you're just going to have to kind of live with it till things calm down. But always give 90 days. Now, if there's a valid reason, say you have a camera and your mom's in memory care, and you're seeing something that's really alarming you, then in that case, you would move someone out. And this may not be relevant, but I just thought about this because this was shared with me yesterday. So a lady that we moved her mom into a memory care, probably been almost a year ago now, she sent me video because her mother is a very difficult person. She has dementia. She's very difficult. And her mom gets at night, she can get very unsettled and upset. And so she was having a really bad night. And my friend had the camera in there, and it recorded one of the caregivers, a young guy, probably 21, 22, is the caregiver. And he went in there, and you see him because he was Catholic. So you saw him genuflect, and he prayed over her and just calmed her down, talked so softly to her, said a prayer for her, and gave her a kiss on her forehead. And she settled right down. And I'm like, how, I could almost cry now. I think it is so beautiful. And so I just want to say that because we always hear the negative things about senior living. There are some amazing and beautiful people who are doing this from a passion and love in their heart to take care of people, take care of seniors. So I always want to, when I hear a story like that, I just want to get that out there, that there are people who are so kind and so wonderful, and there's good stories too.
That is true. And I'm getting teary-eyed. That's
I know.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh.
She sent me the video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did. I started crying because I'm like, that is so beautiful. And you could just feel I'll have to send you it. It's just so precious.
Yes. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's definitely when you can tell your parents are taken care of, right? And probably they're being given more attention than you could on the daily basis that you're obviously burdened with everything else going on in your life. So that's lovely. Okay.
Yeah. But back to answering your question, I would say most of the time everything is going to be fine, and they are going to be happy. Some parents or some people are just going to complain because that's their nature, and they're not happy because they were forced into doing something. But I would try to solve the situation by communication. Communicate with the people in the community, because I do know I have some families who come to me who have moved 4 or 5 times, and it's the same issue everywhere. So it's kind of like, what's the common denominator here? And I don't think that's good to keep moving place to place. I feel like it's better to get in and settle in, especially if there's some dementia. Unless there's a valid reason to move them, don't keep pulling them out and moving them to different communities.
Right. And again, at their age, it gets to a point where how many years where they're living in their own routine, right? It just takes time to settle. Yeah. You can't expect to them, it's almost like when you start a new school, right? And there's the groups, and it takes your time to get the groove and get the routine going. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And you've gone through so much setting up their apartment, and it's expensive too, because when you move into these communities, you're paying a community fee, you're, moving everything in. There's a lot of energy and money expended doing this. It's not, an easy simple, let's just move. It's not.
Right.
I feel like sometimes people just want things to be, perfect immediately. And that's just not how things go. We're dealing with humans with feelings and it's tough to leave your house if you've been there 50 years. And a lot of times this is because there's been a loss. Maybe it was a husband and wife living together. The husband was taking care of the wife and he passes. So, you're dealing with a lot of loss and losing a partner, losing the house you always lived in. That's a lot for anyone. So it's going to take a minute to acclimate.
So in these situations, I remember you were saying, does it help that you're there more often, or could it be a problem because you're disrupting what will become their day to day by being more there? What would you advise people?
I think it depends on the person. And also if there's dementia, usually they ask you not to come for a little while to let them settle in. With independent living or assisted living, it's just going to depend on the person. You are welcome to come up there anytime you want. You could have had, daughters stay the night, the first few nights to kind of, help them settle in. So all that is okay to do. If they're in a situation where, you realize this was not the right fit, we picked the wrong place. You do have the option with most, and look at your agreement that you signed, but most independent assisted memory care and care homes, you have a 30 or 60-day out. So you're not tied in. Now, if you move to a senior apartment, you're typically like a standard lease, like a 12, 18-month lease, whatever you sign. So look at your contract. But in most cases, if you have done your homework, you've worked with someone like myself to help you find the right place, I would say just give it a minute, let them kind of settle into things.
Right. And also, you'll need time if it doesn't work out for whatever reason that they can't get over, you can't get over, or it's just a valid reason to not work out. How long you're going to need to also find the next best option. So knowing that you don't need to rush it and say, okay, you know what? I know that mom isn't enjoying where she is or dad isn't enjoying where they are, but we can't just rush through it and make maybe like a second bed decision or something. So give yourself time to also look for the next one, or they just, they can call you up and say, hey, this is happening. Are these valid reasons? And put their mind at ease, right?
I think also a good thing is setting expectations in the beginning. And I try to do that with everyone I talk to. So if mom is a fall risk and she's falling at home all the time, we're going to, find the best community for her. But I always tell people, nobody can say your mom is not going to fall. I mean, they're going to do their best. They're going to put everything in place, but a fall can happen anywhere. Even if you're standing right there. I've had daughters tell me I was standing right there and she fell. I mean, nobody can tell you 100% they can prevent that from happening. And, sometimes, maybe they're short staffed and they're not getting to, responding to the call button immediately. There's going to be one-off things that happen. If it's like constantly nobody's coming and she's, mom's being left there, not changed all night, things like that, those are valid concerns. But hopefully you've done your homework, you've found the right place, and it's really more of a case of your mom or dad sort of just settling into where they are.
That's valid. Okay, so just to recap, if the senior is not settling into the new place, then just recapping very quickly, what is the order of tasks that people should do in order to at least give it a shot or make sure that they feel like they're doing all the things to help their parents settle in?
Okay. Number one, communication is your key. So you would want to, you deal with the salesperson with getting moved in. Once you've moved in, you go to the executive director, who is the one responsible for, operations. So you would go to the executive director and say, this is what's happening with mom. So it could be, something with food. So they may involve the dining person, the director, to come in. Or it could be they're not sure how to get involved with activities or they're feeling left out or whatever that may be. So then it might be the activities person. So it's sort of like figuring out what's going on and then coming up with a game plan, pulling all the right people in to help them with this adjustment period. Sometimes if they have a lot of care needs or assisted living or even memory care, sometimes it's bringing in an outside caregiver, like an extra caregiver to kind of help them get past this transition and help them kind of make things a little smoother.
Have you seen that like their prior caregiver was called in to do that transition of care?
Yeah. We see that a lot where they have a caregiver that, was with them for a couple of years in their home. And the caregiver, if they have the money to do it, I have some people, the caregiver continues to come every day at the assisted living, but they're taken care of at night. But you can do that. That's fine to do. It's just that's an expensive option. But if you have the resources, go for it.
Awesome. And then option number 2, if it is that it doesn't work out, like you'd say first thing is to look at the lease or look at the contract, right?
Mm-hmm. Look to see what the contract is. Because like I said, if you're in a senior apartment, you might have a 12-month lease. Any other types of senior housing, it's usually a 30 to 60 day out. You just have to have a written notice. Another thing, like if you maybe you moved into a senior apartment, that's what mom wanted, but she has a lot of care needs and there's no care. A senior apartment's just a regular apartment. If you get a note from her doctor stating she has dementia or whatever it may be, then usually they will let you out of the lease and then you can move her to somewhere more appropriate. So, I would say, yes, they would, but you never know. There may be
True.
some community gives you a hard time, but typically that's what happens. You would get a note from the doctor saying she needs a higher level of care that she's not getting there. And nobody wants to take that on. That's a liability if they're suddenly, wandering off. You don't want that to come back on you. So that would be a valid reason to move someone.
Fair enough. And then option number 3 is to give you a call.
Give me a call. That's right. If you didn't already give me a call. I think it's really important to start off in the right place. And, we get it right most of the time, but, sometimes things happen or, maybe we move someone in and they're not wandering and then they suddenly wander out of a building. And then we have to look at more of a secure type environment. But we do try to make sure we place in the right spot because honestly, we love you. And if you need help, we're there to help you. But we don't want to get a call saying that this is not the right place and I need to move my mom again.
All right. Well, thanks, Lori, for that. That was so helpful. And definitely we're going to be having all the links of the things that we talked about to guide people onto the show notes. So just make sure that you check those. And thank you for that.
Sure. Thank you, Anna. I always enjoy answering the questions. And I hope this is helpful for everyone else. Please do share this with your friends and family because this is good information that I get questions about this a lot too. So I think it's good to talk about and share this educational piece. And please go to my website to see all of our podcasts and listen to them all. So you got a lot of listening to do, but you can find all the podcasts at my website, which is LoriWilliams-seniorservices.com. Thanks. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.